What's up YouTube? It's AjilityPoints giving you another boosting video on the newest game, Runescape Dragonwilds. I played a little on stream and I found it to be fairly similar to games like Valheim. I'm enjoying it so far, but my brain started doing the thing and I found myself trying to boost all my stats and my skills as efficiently as possible. So if that's something you're interested in, then hopefully this guide gives you a couple methods that will help you out. Before we get into the actual methods, it's worth mentioning that there are XP potions in the game that give you bonus XP for each individual skill. They're not required and can be honestly done without them, but for people that want to boost as fast as possible, here's how you get them. You can craft minor XP potions once you've visited the swamp, which is pretty early in the game and not far from your first quests. You can find the swamp here on the map. You'll want to collect clay and marentil. The clay allows you to make a kiln and clay pots from the pottery wheel. You can then bake the pots in the kiln, as well as burn wood in the kiln to create charcoal. Once you have pots and charcoal, you want to create a brewing cauldron. Once you have the brewing cauldron, you can put the charcoal, clay pot, and 2 other ingredients inside. Those 2 ingredients will decide what type of potion you'll be making. For XP potions, it seems marentil is a main ingredient, and whatever you put last will decide what type of XP potion it will be. For construction XP, you'll want flax. For cooking, you'll want cabbage. Artisan is berries, attack is fangs, mining is bone, woodcutting is feathers, and runecrafting is coarse animal fur. Construction is the first skill you want to max out. You learn some of the best spells in the game by leveling this up. One of them is the ability to rest anywhere, which is super handy as being tired comes with so many negative effects. Managing stamina is hard enough, but having a cap also prevents you from doing most of your combos while also dodging attacks. If you use magic, you know how valuable the fire combo spell is, as the 4th hit basically creates a field of fireballs that constantly staggers anything inside of it. So being able to cast the 4th combo consistently is super important. And the other amazing spell is the ability to access your personal storage from anywhere. This helps with your carrying weight immensely, but it's going to help you a lot moving forward with this guide, as the purpose of this guide is to level your skills up quickly, and that's going to involve a ton of resources needing to be moved around. Now, the way to boost your construction XP is a bit awkward, but simple. I say awkward because from testing, I found that whenever you stop crafting the build you've chosen, say to delete it and get your resources back, the game stops giving you XP for it until you return to the main menu and go back in the game. It's not the most annoying thing, but if you do want to avoid doing that each time, the best thing to do is build as much of one type of building as possible. Then after breaking that down, start building a different piece. The most efficient way to go about this method is to carry as much wood with you as possible. Start from one end, build the piece into the ground, then all the following pieces, have them attached to that original piece, but don't let them touch the ground. The reason for this is so you only have to delete the original piece in order to destroy all the pieces at once and save your fingers from the stress. But remember, once you start to destroy, the game will no longer give you XP for that build until you relog. So it's best to just place as many as you can. Move to another side, start a new floor piece setup, as far as each one can go until you're totally out of wood. Once you're out of wood, then you can start to destroy the original pieces of each set and begin again, but with a totally different building piece. I like to destroy the pieces, but avoid picking up any of the wood until I'm around the original area to start again, so that all the wood I'm picking up is going straight to my inventory and then being used in the building. This is to avoid the awkward wood on the ground, preventing you from building stuff on top of it. The next method isn't super crazy, unfortunately, at least until I find an even better way, but it's for woodcutting. And this is a good one to get started on sooner than later, since you'll need some wood for the other upcoming methods, which is why we're going over it now. Maybe you'd argue to do this before construction, since you want as much wood as possible for construction, but it's really up to you. I find it pretty easy to do construction since we get the materials back from destroying, so even a single stack of 50 can technically get you there, although it would take very long to do so. But I still stand that having the storage spell can save you so much more time in the grand scheme of things. Moving on, you'll basically have 2 spells you learn very early on, and that's your Astral Projection and Splinter spell. Woodcutting may not need to be totally maxed out or anything, but this is also just a really good way to gather wood. Finding a row of multiple trees lined up, and more importantly, trees that are on a sloped hill, will sometimes net you a good possibility of the trees falling and landing near each other. I'll even sometimes use my character's head to help adjust the angle the tree is falling, and also placing myself in front of logs that are rolling to prevent them from going too far from each other. Once you have a bundle of them lined up, you can use Splinter to pop them all up at once. With some practice and precision, you'll eventually... Nobody saw that, right? With some practice and precision, you'll eventually figure out how to get this more consistently, and you'll rank up in no time. If you plan to use XP potions and really want to maximize the full use of it, I would suggest hitting the trees however many times just before one last swing to break them. Hitting the trees does offer XP, but chopping them down gives you double the amount. So maybe set up one side of the slope for single chop remaining trees, and next to you have some trees you plan to use your astral spell on. This way you can start with the spell, start chopping the single chop trees, and whenever your spell is off cooldown, you can run back to the full trees and cast again. Anytime you manage to get 2 or more logs to land near each other, I'd use Splinter right away so the cooldown can begin on that spell as well. Let's move on to boosting your cooking skill. For this method, we want to grab some wood and stone so that we're able to make a tiny little base near a body of water. There's some water here if you've made a base in the starting zone. Use some wood walls to create a long structure along the water with a roof to help avoid the dragon from bothering you. A couple chests here might help too, but that's up to you. We can build a few campfires to help speed up the process. Now, just scoop up a ton of water, place them all in each campfire, along with as many stacks of wood as you can. If you're using XP potions for this, it's a good idea not to start each one after you put both materials inside. That's because the potion has a limited amount of time before it expires. So, if you want to do it efficiently, it's a good idea to load the campfires up first, then start them all up one by one, and only pop the potion once there's a good amount on the ground. If you want to be even more precious about your potion, I'm sure you can set up your structures to be slightly elevated above the campfires, specifically 2 tiles high, 2 wall tiles, so that you don't collect any water and you can just continue filling campfires up over and over until you're finally ready. Then popping the potion and snatching them all up at once. The max level is 99, but currently the game only gives benefits up to level 49, and it doesn't take very long to get there, but this trick will come in super handy once they extend that cap as well. Also, another tip, the game seems to let us collect the water as fast as we can click it, so if you have a way to put turbo on your controller, keyboard, or mouse, it'll let you gather the water that much faster. For me, I use a Logitech mouse and the Logitech G-Hub program. Add a macro to one of the buttons on the side of the mouse, have the macro input E on repeat as long as I hold it down, and voila, insane gathering speed. Next would be Runecrafting. This one isn't too bad to boost since the output doesn't take up any inventory space or weight. Bringing 12 stones and 4 rune essence will allow you to craft a rune altar and convert them to the rune of your choice on the go, saving you weight and space. Find a location of floating rune stones, shoot the floating ones out of the air, then use your rock explosion spell to crack a bunch of them in one go. Then just pickaxe whatever's left. If rock explosion is on cooldown, just pickaxe the ones that aren't clumped up together first, so when it is ready, you'll once again get a ton in one go. If you plan to use an XP potion for this, you might want to consider popping it for the mining part too, and not just the crafting. If you're precious about your potions, you can save up a ton of runes and pop the potion just before crafting, although rune crafting does happen pretty quickly, so I'd suggest stocking up some, then popping it just before you start a mining route. That'll give you enough time to still craft before the potion expires and gain the most amount of XP possible. For boosting your artisan skill, there's a couple good methods and a third method that I find to be the best. The first and least effective, but quick, if you just need a little bump of XP, is to spam craft the cheapest stuff from the workbench. It was definitely a good idea to gather a bunch of wood and stone first with the previous woodcutting method. The best I've found is crafting the lowest tier dagger, as it takes few resources from both stone and wood. If you're stockpiled on wood more than anything, and not so much stone, then it's probably better to just craft the basic wooden shield. Unfortunately, once these are crafted, you're not able to get the resources back, so expect to toss a bunch of them on the ground unless you have the patience of a saint and are willing to destroy each crafted individually. For me, I simply craft as many as I can hold in my inventory, walk outside, hold control, and start spamming left click. The second method is similar to the cooking boost, and that involves having a few spinning wheels and tanning racks built in one spot and farming as much animal hide scraps, flax, and coarse animal fur. Dump your resources in, activate all at the same time, pop your potion, and scoop them up. The third option, and my personal favorite, is setting up a resource dump. I like this method the most because I don't want to find myself exclusively farming for one resource, but rather coming back to base, having bits and pieces of multiple resources along the way, allowing me to input my resources into each crafting station and essentially leave it alone for later. The setup is super simple, and feel free to improvise your own version, but I basically make sure that the crafting station is at least 2 wall tiles higher than where the resources get dumped. This prevents the loot from magneting towards us if we get too close to a station to refill it. Some stairs and a light source to help us get to where we need as well. What ends up happening is all the output gets sent down below for gathering later. And since the game only gives you XP for your crafted material once you pick it up, you'll be able to stockpile a ton of resources down below over time, eventually deciding when to grab it, using an XP potion beforehand, and then scooping it all up in one go. Since these crafting stations can hold up to 3 different resources, it's up to you if you feel like you want to place multiple besides each other to make things easier for when you have each type and want to dump it off. You should be able to tell the direction the output gets shot out of through my footage in case you're worried about that, but just testing with one resource at a time can help you complete your setup before you start putting all your resources in right away. I plan to make more videos for this game as more content gets released and the level cap goes up. If I find more or better methods in the near future, I'll be sure to make videos for that as well. And be sure to let me know in the comments if you guys found easier methods we could share with everybody. If you did enjoy the video, be sure to leave a thumbs up as it does help out a lot. Also, I play a variety of games and try to make guides and videos on as many as I can. So when new stuff comes around the corner, you can assume I'll be digging into it and making more videos like this. So if you think that's something you'd be interested in to see more of, definitely consider subscribing, as that's the best way to do just that. All right, peace.